Grand Rising, how are you guys doing? I pray that you guys are having a blessed Monday morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are in the world. I came across this video by my Brother King from Staying Focused for Jesus on YouTube, here on YouTube, and his video just, I agree with a lot of what he has to say in this video. I just want to present some highlights of that video to you. In this video, we need to be mindful, if you're not aware, we need to be mindful that whatever this system approves of, if whatever they pass, whatever they do, that there is always an ulterior motive. They are not doing things. They are not passing legislation. They're not doing anything just to be doing the right thing. And I can say that with conviction because of the history of this system. The system, historically speaking, another prophet that I know, Prophet Weeks, says it all the time. History does not lie. People lie, but history does not lie. So we need to look at what this system has done historically. And it would help us determine what it is. With much prayer, with seeking the face of the Most High, it will help us determine, it will help us to discern what is really going on. I have not said a lot about the actual Roe versus Wade being overturned because I don't believe that it was just a matter of, oh, we want to save the babies. Trust me, again, these people do what they want to do. They always have ulterior motives. It's not to make you suspicious or to make you make you think like a conspiracy theorist. But historically speaking, this government, every time they've done something, every law they've passed, every war that they've started, everything, every recession that they created, there has been an agenda behind every decision this system, this government has ever made. And we need to be mindful of that. We can't believe the hype. We can't get caught up in emotional manipulation, not just by the media, but by this entire system. We can't react to what they want us to react to. We need to go higher in the Ruach, and we need to say, Father, what does this mean? There's something behind this, and I know there is. Even the things that happen in our lives daily, we need to ask the Most High, why? What's going on? What's really going on in the Ruach? Father, show it to me. What is the root cause of this? Anyway, I don't want to take up any more time. There's some clips from Brother King's video that I want to share with you in this video. I will have the link to the full video to Staying Focused for Jesus' full video regarding Roe versus Wade. I hope that you guys are blessed, be safe, and discern the times that we're living in.
Because America has to fall for the New World Order to come in. All you got to do is look at history. The Bible tells you there's nothing new under the sun. We always say that history repeats itself. So we know that history repeats itself. Will everybody agree with that listen to this video, that history repeats itself? History repeats itself, right? Then how did every new superpower come into power? The current superpower failed to give way to the new superpower. So therefore, how can you have the New World Order order of chaos. Through the ashes they rise, right? Without the current superpower ceasing to be the superpower that we know it is, which is America. You're agreeing with that, but then you say that America is the final nation? Mystery Babylon? America is a daughter of Mystery Babylon. The spirit of Mystery Babylon is here. Of course, yes. So yes, in that sense, America is Mystery Babylon because the spirit of the mother is residing in the daughter, who we know as America. Two, the original decision of Roe v. Wade had nothing to do with healthcare, women's rights, women's bodies, or women's choice. It had to do with population control of the quote unquote black population dumbasses. Yes, that's what I'm calling you because y'all talking like dumb asses, talking like brute beasts, don't know what they're talking about. These are things that we have covered. You can go research it for yourself if you don't trust my research. But if you watch the videos, you know these are things that we covered before. I think I spoke about Roe v. Wade in a recent video and some of the things that we are discussing right here. 3, white women ended up taking advantage of government assistance and abortions, which drastically contributed to the decline of the white population. So much that in 2022, the quote unquote white race makes up less than 50% of the population of children 15 years and younger. Some of you remember those articles I brought forth, and will not be able to catch up. So technically, we know the future is black. That's what we say, the future is black. That ties into the New World Order with Africa and all these different things in the videos that we've done. You may say, well, why do we have a decline in the white population, but the quote unquote black population is and still continues to grow despite all these things being done? Well, because of the fulfillment of Bible prophecy, where he said that he would increase the nations, the black nations and stuff like that. I'm being generic with it, to keep it simple. Well, he said he would increase the black nations overall, whether they came from Abraham or not. For what? Because that's a part of prophecy, especially in regards to Abraham and his seed being as the sand of the sea, meaning that the seed would be innumerable. So many, like, dang, all these people came from Abraham, but then what happens in the end? He said we'd be so few in number that you wouldn't even know that the seed of Israel is really around anymore, right? And so this is what you have had happening. This is what you have had happening, and we're going to get to a point where most of the people that have been born in this time period, they're going to be destroyed, whether they are from the seed of Israel directly or indirectly, going to be destroyed. And we know the word tells us that God said he's going to make man more precious than the gold of Ophir, or Ophir, however you want to pronounce it. Okay, jumping back to what we were saying, I said they used these different weapons to try and control the quote-unquote black population, but it ended up backfiring on them, jumping to the Jew first and then to the Gentile, dwindling their own numbers that weren't large in comparison from the beginning. Go read what Benjamin Franklin said in his letter, Observations Concerning Mankind. We're going to look at that. You already know, but it's a powerful document, especially in the time period that we're living in. The main reason, but not the only reason, but the main reason of reversing Roe v. Wade is to try and combat the decline of the white population. And then I took some screenshots of a few things. The argument isn't about that. One of the reasons that we continue to bring this letter up is because Benjamin Franklin is well respected. He's well respected. He wasn't a dumb man. and he has some very interesting things to say during this time period. And you already know where we going, but some of you don't know. This is a very powerful letter. Very, very powerful letter. It proves a lot. It tells you a lot. Um, I probably use it more than most people that even know about it. But we go down, go down, and then we go to point 24, right? Which leads me to add one remark that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. This is back in the 1700s, 1751. I think it was redid or released in 1751, but it was written before that, if I'm not mistaken. All Africa is black or tawny. We have discussed tawny in depth. Asia chiefly tawny. Asia is still chiefly what? Tawny. America exclusive of the newcomers, and you're talking about their newcomers, because a lot of confusion. What people don't realize, I think I'm gonna do a follow up video to this, because it was a video that I was gonna do before, but this one came up, and so I did this one before the one I was actually gonna do, because you move up, the spirit leads you. But I think I'm gonna do that video next, and it's providing evidence that George Washington was what we call a black man. It's just not, oh, like, yeah, you want everybody to be black. Well, now I'm looking at what I've been taught in comparison to what other things say. That's how you find out if something is true, right? You compare stuff. You compare. How do you know the word is true? You compare it with what's going on in the world. Like, oh yeah, it is true, because it's written. But again, it says America exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. And the point I was making with that is a lot of the newcomers, the original settlers of America, were black. Yes. A lot of your slave holders that had slaves in America were not white at first. They were black. But they don't tell you that. They don't. There's a reason for that, because to the victor goes the spoils. So when a person comes in, they win a war, then they can rewrite history and do what they want to present themselves however they see fit. And part of it is to cause confusion, right? But when he's talking about their newcomers, he's speaking about the group of white people, Now, I haven't found any evidence, and I haven't researched if Benjamin Franklin himself was black. As far as I know, I'm still going under the assumption that he was white until I see otherwise. But it would be interesting. I think I mentioned it before. It would be interesting if he is saying that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small, and he's not even including himself in there, in the sense of including himself in black or tawny, but siding with whites even though he wasn't white. Again, I'm not saying that he was black. As far as I know, Benjamin Franklin was the whitest man that you would ever see, white of white. That's what I'm rolling with, because I have not seen any evidence, and I have not researched it to think otherwise. Little bits and pieces, I'm like, okay, I got to do some more research on that. But that's what we're rolling. We're rolling with that Benjamin Franklin was the whitest white man you would ever meet, in culture and looks and everything. But it goes on again and says, in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion, as are the Germans also, the Saxons only excepted, who with the English make the principal body of white people. To talk about their group, because you have different groups within groups, or different people that take on terms. On the face of the earth, I could wish their numbers were increased. He wanted white people to increase. This is the whole thing was about. This whole letter was about, was increasing his own kind. He did not want to bring more slaves over there. He was like, hey, if you bring them over here, they're going to increase even more and eventually take over us. I guess they didn't follow the words of their ancestors, did they? I could wish their numbers were increased, and while we are, as I may call it, scouring our planet by clearing America of woods, they was scouring, meaning, hey, We get rid of the black people. That's what their goal was, to get rid of black people and increase their own and everything, right? And so making this side of our globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus. And what's the focus on recently? Mars and space and everything. Why should we, in the sight of superior beings, what we would call aliens, darken its people? Meaning that, hey, they believe that they were of these superior beings, the inhabitants of in Mars or Venus. They believe that's where they came from. So if they believe that's where they came from, then they're like, okay, we shouldn't pollute our bloodline of the superior beings that we came from, these aliens that we came from, with these other people. Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity, by excluding all blacks and tawnies? We don't have to, have them a part of our civilization because we've been a part of theirs. Of increasing the lovely white and red. But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind, which is a true statement. I also want to go over something else, because I know a lot of people forget, and there are those that don't know. They get confused about minority and majority. They're thinking, oh, we're the minority, because they're saying that we are the minority based on numbers. That has nothing to do with it. That's to cause confusion. If you go to the lawdictionary.org, and we're going to look at a few words, and one of them is minority. If my internet speeds up, it tells you the state or condition of a minor infancy. Then it says a smaller number of votes of a deliberative assembly opposed to majority. Minority is opposed to majority. It is opposed to it, right? Then we just break it down. We keep on breaking it down. They said minor. They told us minor, right? A minor is an infant or person who's under the age of legal competence. A term derived from the civil law, which described a person. Remember, when we're dealing with civil law, right? We covered all that stuff before. We described a person under a certain age as less than so many years. So it tells you one less than 25 years of age, and then the other part of it, they know most people ain't gonna read all of it. Also, less consideration, lower, a person of inferior condition. In the eyes of the law, they see you being in inferior condition. So therefore, you are a infant. You are a person who is under the age of legal competence, which is why you don't get treated the same under the law. Even though you are over the age of 25 years of age, they still see you as a person of inferior condition, a person that's less than them. So therefore, you don't get to understand and know the laws and really do the laws the way that they get to do them. You don't reap the benefits of it. You are under our authority. We're going to dictate what's right for you as a infant. Just like my 2-year-old doesn't dictate what he gets to eat. We dictate that. Because why? He is an infant. He is an infant. That's how they see you. Now, it brought up the word infancy. If we look at it, it tells us minority, the state of a person who's under the age of legal majority. All right, just want to make that connection. Let me go ahead and close out some of my tabs because I already got a whole bunch of tabs open anyway. Then we look at the word majority. It says what? Full age, the age at which by law a person is entitled to the management of his what? Of his own affairs and to the enjoyment of civic rights. Let me ask you something. Do most people have the ability to manage their own affairs? No, they don't. Therefore, they see us collectively as what? The minority. Or they're the minority population. It has nothing to do with numbers. Nothing to do with numbers. Nothing to do with numbers. It has to do with how they define us. They define us as minority. And therefore they're defining us as minority, then they're saying, hey, they don't get to manage their own affairs. Therefore, we have to put ourselves in a position to teach them what we want them to know. So when the new generation comes up, which is what we see, when they do get into office, we still will control them because our seed is in them and the word is seed. Doesn't matter if it's a white person that's in office or not. If you have blacks or Hispanics or what we call brown people with the same mindset and the same doctrine that has been taught. So you have your senators, you have all these different people in positions, and then coming down to the teachers that are managing the affairs of the quote unquote minority. But number wise, we know that we are the majority. Then it also says, and to the enjoyment of civic rights. So if you are seen as a minority, then you don't get to enjoy the civic rights. What's in the civic rights? Part of the civic rights is the civil law. You have the civil rights movement and everything, which is why even today in 2022, since the whole civil rights marching and everything, has things gotten better or worse for us? All that marching and what we've got out of it. More heartache, more pain, more death, killing in the streets, all this other stuff, right? Because you're a minority. You're not of age. You're under their law. Under the law of God, you come of age. And then you get to be over your own affairs. Under their law, you never come of age. So therefore, they get to be over your affairs, and they get to be over your affairs. They get to be over your inheritance because you never come of full age to inherit your inheritance through Christ. They ain't gonna tell you all that though, is it? I wonder why. They tell you specifically the opposite of minority, also the status of a person who is a major in age, and it talks about voting and stuff like that. Then let's jump over here real fast, and we're gonna bring up major, just so we can make that connection. What does it tell us? It says a person of full age, one who is no longer a minor, one who has attained the management of his own concerns and the enjoyment of his civic rights. It says in military law, the officer next in rank above a captain. But mostly what we're going to focus on is the first part. So the majority are what those that are seen in law that can manage his own concerns, his own affairs, his own life, and the enjoyment of his civic rights as a citizen, reaping the full benefits of what it actually means to be a citizen. That's not going on, is it? No, it's not. Well, not for most of the population, because they don't see most of the population as the majority. Doesn't matter if you had 8 billion black people, 8 billion brown people, people of color, however you want to say it, they still aren't going to see them as the majority in this sense, because they are the ones that have been allowed to, because of our disobedience, to put these laws into effect.
Like brown people have been the most on the planet, but as you guys have,
in America, black people are 15% of the U.S. population.
Well, the U.S. population there's more whites, yeah, because of the takeover. Let's be real, like.
I mean, that's highly debatable. That's highly debatable about there being more white people in America than black people. That's highly debatable, and me personally, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Where at what point was there such an increase? When you had all the slaves over here, you had the people in America that was already black. Yeah, I know a great number of them was killed off. When I say black, I mean brown colored people of color. So bear with me. When did you have this great increase of white people in America like that in comparison to black people? In comparison, when Benjamin Franklin said in 1751, that most of America and the old world, Great Britain and Europe and all the other places were black. You see what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily believe it, but you know.
You got the Indians came. Indians were like, hey, you want to share? You know what I mean? Of course, there are more whites in America, but worldwide, you guys are not the majority. But power-wise, you have it. You were able to take it, and you have the power.
And the power comes through what? The law. The law. Their power comes through their laws.
You have the gunfire, the whole nine. White men in America, police, especially police, are doing all the dirty work. They're literally going around. Did you see the one footage with the black dude in the car, and the officer has his gun on him, and the guy's hands are like, "What? I'm not doing anything, officer." And he goes, "He has a gun. He has a gun." He's yelling out, "The guy has a gun." Me, I don't have a gun. This is what they're doing. They're just pulling up to any random person, and it can happen to me. I do not ever take for granted that I'm an entertainer or whatever. Man, they might feel the same way. It can happen to any of us. Don't ever think you're separate. They've done it to Hannibal Buress. They've done it to, you know what I mean? You never know.
Hannibal Buress got
Hannibal Buress harassed by some cops too, man.
And in the previous video I showed you, kind of like it's the fruit of the same tree that happened to Oprah. Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, she went over there and you can't afford this. No, you can't see it. Until somebody, hey, you don't know who that is. She could buy the whole block. We seen that video, right? You can go check it out if you haven't seen it.
And it's like, it doesn't matter, because I think that there's this thing where white men, which is the majority that run everything, they're panicking. They're panicking. They get into this paranoia where they start to blame it on us. They go, they're starting to move up, and academically, black people are the highest in academics. That's a fact in America. Black women are the most educated. So this is making whites, they all of a sudden paranoia, and they start to, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but whites are amazing at exclusion. They're good at keeping people out because they've never played on an even hand. They never have. Sports, they never have. They kept us out of it. Then when we got in, you saw the difference. They've always, in schooling, they never let us in. It's always.
Is he lying? Didn't Benjamin Franklin just say that? We have a chance to exclude the blacks and the tawnies? Go look at the history of sports. Come on now. Go look at the history of the school system. The school system was established to create workers. But that's the same thing that Benjamin Franklin was saying in that article, if you go read it. It was established to create workers so that the workers could have families and then they could increase their own kind.
Always on an level. They always get a head start. And then when they play on an even playing field, it's like, wait a minute. Oh, you guys aren't as great as you thought you were. Oh, my fault. Academically, neither. So there's a paranoia going on because the police are literally attacking Latinos and blacks, and especially like young kids, like young teenagers and women. They're like attacking them, slamming them on the ground.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring that clip up because he made some solid points in there and everything. And we see the fruit. We still see the fruit and everything. There is a black and white issue obviously going on, not only in this country, but this world. There's a black on black issue. There's a white on white issue. There's all type of issues. And the problem isn't that, because Christ said he came to divide. If he came to divide family, let's just think about it for a second. If Christ said that he came to divide family, then don't you think he came to divide black people from white people, and even black people from black people, or white people from white people? Especially black people from white people. There's a scripture that even states that during the time period of Jacob's trouble, that people are gonna go run to their own kind. They're gonna run to their own tribes, their own little groups and everything. Like, look, I'm going over here with my people. The Bible says that. The Word of God says that, right?
Isaiah 13. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amoz did see. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. Exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones, I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together, the Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid, pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another, their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chaste roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land.
The issue isn't the division. The word does that. The fulfillment of Bible prophecy does that. All this is a part of Bible prophecy. The issue is that people don't want to come to repentance.